Do you want to race? Do you want to race?
No.
Don't think she got the joke. Hello and welcome back to the channel. You may have seen my video the other day when I went to pick up this new lowrider ST. I want to give this bike a full review and tell you what this thing is really like. Now, whenever we seem to do a Harley video on the channel recently, it hasn't performed as well as other motorcycle brands, and I'm not sure why that is. I don't think it's because of the bike, because the bike is absolutely fantastic. It really is a brilliant motorcycle. And we actually started our channel on Harleys, so a lot of our early subscribers were purely here for Harley-Davidsons, but then we started to throw in other brands as the channel grew. So I think perhaps we've got a lot of followers who aren't interested in Harleys, but I think it's interesting to watch anyway, because it's nice to see a bike of this ilk that really is an impressive machine. But it is a very premium bike and it's not cheap whatsoever, so it's not affordable for most of the general public. And I don't know whether I would break the bank to buy this, whether it's slightly too much, to be honest, but it is a fantastic machine. So let me go into what this bike is like. It's absolutely freezing today. It feels like January, it's so cold. The wind is blowing on my ears and it's so cold. I didn't bring my hat out because I looked out the window and I saw a bright blue, beautiful sky, but it feels like January. It really is cold. So I've almost got brain freeze, I'm that cold. But back to the bike. Now, the first thing I noticed when you got on this thing is that on paper, you think, blimey, it's heavy. It's gonna feel like a lump, but it doesn't at all. This thing is over 300 kilos, about 330 kilos, and that is not a light bike by any means. That is a heavy machine. But I've never experienced a bike that hides its weight as well as this. As soon as you get going on this thing, the weight seems to disappear. And when you get out in the country lanes, around some twisty turns, it's one of the most fun bikes in the corners I've ever experienced. And that seems silly to say, and without riding one, you may not believe me. And if I said, like I said in my previous video, that I think this has got better handling than a naked bike, a lot of naked bike owners would probably laugh in my face. But until you ride this thing, you won't understand what I mean, but I can explain it to you, and it's up to you whether you believe me or not. But in the real world, in this country, all the country lanes, the twisty turns, are bumpy. They're not nice, smooth surfaces like you get in Spain or Italy. So a bike like a naked bike has firm suspension and it can't handle it. So unless you're on track, you're not going to experience the full capability of that bike. But a bike like this is usable in the everyday world. It does soak up the bumps nicely. The upside down forks really do soak up the bumps, but you still get a firm ride, and it's so fun in the corners. It's one of the most fun bikes I've ever ridden on the twisty turns, and it's so fun to wrestle it around the corners, and it doesn't feel heavy at all. You really feel like you can lean it down. Obviously to an extent, it's not a super bike, but my God, it's so much fun. I can't believe how well it handles and how light it feels, considering how heavy it actually is. Now, we are very honoured to be in a position where brands like Quadlock want to work with us, because this is a product that we truly believe in. It's a fantastic product, and to have Quadlock on board as a channel sponsor, we are absolutely over the moon with that. So thank you, Quadlock. But they have sent me their new mount. Now, in a world where everything is becoming more and more blacked out, like this lowrider ST, I think chrome is making a comeback, and so do Quadlock, because they have just released this new chrome handlebar mount. Now, this comes out on the 23rd of April. I've also got the black one as well. I've also gone for the vibration dampener on top, because when you've got your phone mounted on the handlebars, it's important to have a vibration dampener, because when you're going along at speed or you're on a bumpy road, the phone can get shaked and that could damage the camera of the phone. So if you've got a vibration dampener, that won't happen. It's very easy to put on, it just clips on nice and easy, and then it's easy to release as well with this little tab on the side. It's nice and secure once it's on, and that means you can use your phone as your maps, and you don't have to have anything obstructing your view. You can put it where you like on the bars. You can also get mirror mounts, so you can really get the right mount for your bike. Fantastic product, couldn't recommend it more. So if you're interested in a quad lock mount, then please do click the link in our description. We've got a special link, and head to their website to check them out. Hi there. Morning.
Lovely morning to be out.
I know, it's lovely, isn't it? Nice to have the sun out.
Yeah.
A little bit chilly though.
It is a little
Yeah,
bit
my ears are a bit cold.
chilly. You do
I know, yeah, I do. Oh.
Are you part of the photography group?
No,
Yeah.
no, I'm just I'm doing a video of this bike. So
Oh, cool.
yeah, I do motorbike reviews. So
Ah.
yeah, I've got this one for a couple of weeks.
Wow, nice piece of kit.
It's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, it's a Harley-Davidson.
Let's see.
Yeah, it's a bit obvious, isn't it?
It's probably got that wonderful deep throaty sound.
It
I'm
has.
guessing.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah.
They're a little bit quiet because with a standard exhaust because of the regulations, but once you put a nice exhaust on it, they sound amazing.
It's a bit of a juxtaposition against the...
It is a bit, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Yeah. Yeah. I quite like to come and film it here because it's such a beautiful backdrop.
Oh, I've
It's
never been. So when you say you're doing a video about,
yeah.
what do you mean? You're
So
promotional
it's
ad?
no, it's like I've got my own YouTube channel.
Okay.
So it's me and my dad, and we basically just ride bikes and tell people what they're like. So yeah, it's quite a fun job. But
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
you're
good
right,
fun.
Enthusiastic doesn't come much better, I would say.
It doesn't. No, it kind of happened by chance really. I used to work for a Harley dealership.
Right.
And we kind of, my dad had a few Harleys and we just started doing videos of it, and it started to gain a following, so we kind of branched out and do a bit of everything now.
Brilliant.
But
Well done.
yeah, it's good fun. Now, if you're enjoying the video so far, please do leave a like and subscribe. It's absolutely free. We are on the road to 100,000 subscribers. So if you could help us out, we'd be ever so grateful. We'd like to do some more Harley content. So if you're watching this and you don't subscribe yet and you like Harleys, then please do subscribe so we can do more Harley content. But if you don't like Harleys, subscribe as well, because we're doing all kinds of bikes, but we mainly focus on modern classics and cruisers on this channel. So if that's your cup of tea, then you'll love this channel. So the engine that's in this is an absolute beast. You've got the 117 cubic inch Milwaukee 8 V-twin, which is about 1923 cc, which is an absolute beast. This is bigger than most of your average car engines. It's that big, it's huge, and it really does deliver low down grunt unlike any other motorcycle. Well, perhaps there's a few others that do compare, but mostly those others are other Harley-Davidson models. This thing produces 168 newton meters of torque at 3,500 RPM, and it produces 105 horsepower at 5,020 RPM. And it's not really about horsepower with a Harley, and people get hooked up on horsepower figures, but with a Harley-Davidson or with a cruiser, it's all about the torque, and we keep saying that, but this thing is like a blimmin' rhinoceros. It is so much torquey, right from the low down, even from 1,500 RPM, this thing pulls. It throws no fuss at low RPM. That's what I love about Harleys. You can short shift them at 3,500 RPM and you still get so much pull, whereas if you were doing that on other bikes, it would probably sound like it was choking and it wanted to really be opened up and be revved. But this thing only revs to about 5,500 RPM, so these are not revvy bikes whatsoever, and that's what I love about them, that deep guttural V-twin sound that you get from the bike, which of course isn't particularly good with the standard exhaust. It definitely needs an aftermarket pipe on there, which there are hundreds of options for, and then you'll get an extremely good sounding bike. The brakes are really quite good. You've got double discs on the front and a single on the rear. No issues there whatsoever. As I said, the suspension soaks up the bumps nicely, and it's good that Harley have put upside down forks on that are black. They're one of the only brands who don't put stupid gold anodized forks on everything. It seems to be a trend that people have copied from Öhlins, and it's caught on, and everyone wants gold forks on everything, but I just don't think they look good on most bikes. They look good on some bikes, I'll give you that, but not every single bike, because it started off with something being unique, which then becomes the opposite because it's on every single bike. So it's not unique anymore, it's just the same as everything else. So I think we need to start seeing some different coloured forks, not just black, silver, chrome, green even. Something really cool and different with the forks, not just gold anodized. I'm fed up with seeing it. Now the styling of this thing, I think it's a fantastic looking machine, but it really does split heads because this is not for everyone. Not everyone likes a Harley-Davidson, and this one in particular, I think, because of some of the styling things that they've gone for it, can split heads even more, because this big fairing on the front it looks good from some angles. I think it does look good, but when you're sat on the bike, it does look a bit cheap, if I'm honest. It's very plasticky. This whole inside of it is plastic. So for over 20 grand, it would be nice if that was perhaps a gloss finish and it didn't look so plasticky, or maybe even if it was like carbon fibre or something. It would give it an extra sense of value for money, what you're getting, but it does feel a bit plasticky. So I do prefer the front end of the Lowrider S with the smaller fairing that's nice and round. That is a bit more Sons of Anarchy, and that does look really cool. Now these rear panniers are very, very practical. I can fit a lot of stuff in here. I fit my tripod in there, all my camera equipment. I can go to the shops. I went to the market this morning and got a lovely steak and ale pie for my lunch. That's in there. It's got a bit bashed up because it's shaking around in there, so it'll be all right once it's cooked. And also, in a minute, I'm going to go to a local farm and get some fresh milk because there's a beautiful farm in a village, and they have a sort of cabin, and you can get fresh milk, ice cream and milkshakes and everything that they've made on that farm from their cows. So I'm going to get some of that, put it in there. Hopefully the bottle doesn't smash. I'm sure it'll be okay, as long as I don't go too fast around the corners. But these are releasable, so you can detach these and have the back end looking like a Lowrider S if you want. So if you're not using the panniers and you want a cooler looking bike, perhaps you're only using it for short journeys, you can take them off. But then if you are doing that, then perhaps you shouldn't buy this version. You should buy the Lowrider S to start with, because it's a cheaper bike and perhaps slightly better looking. This is like something of another planet. I've never seen anything like it. Yeah, look at that. So made by a milk dispenser. Oh, that's going to be delicious. Another point with the styling, I think the wheels are absolutely gorgeous on this bike. The nicest alloy wheels on any motorbike, personally. I think these are a fantastic colour, finish and style. They are absolutely beautiful. Another problem that we have, UK specific, is that we have absolute wind sails of a number plate, and this stupid massive yellow number plate on the back of a motorbike completely ruins the style. So the back end is then spoilt because of this stupid thing. It's crazy really, isn't it, that the legislation dictates that you have to have the same size number plate on a motorcycle that you do on a bus. Why does that make any sense? When you go abroad, like I've recently been in Italy for a Royal Enfield launch, and the number plates are smaller over there, a good size, and they're white, so they don't look so hideous. So I really wish they would change that legislation. The Lowrider ST comes in at £21,295 starting price in the UK. So it's not a cheap bike by any means. It's quite an expensive bit of kit. Is it worth the price? I think it's worth a fair bit of money. Crikey, I'm going to get blown over in a minute. Jesus, it's so windy. But I would probably pay about 19 for it, I think, personally. But the beauty of Harleys is that if you come to sell it in 2 or 3 years' time, you'll probably get pretty much what you paid for it. Because they go up in value each year for the new ones, it makes the older ones seem better value for money. So even my 2021 Softail Standard, I paid about 12.5 for it, and now the new ones are about 15. So, God, I've got hiccups, big Scotch eggs this morning. So even now, I'd probably get what I paid for it, which is great. Or near enough, so you won't lose much money, which is a nice thing. It's a big lot of money to part ways with, so you want to know that your money is safe, and it certainly is with a Harley. Unlike anyone who bought one of those new BMW R18s like the old man did, they've gone right down. I mean, they were 21 to start with, and now they're about 12, so they've halved in value. But these won't be doing that, I can assure you. Now, I am 6'1", and this is what I look like on the bike. It's a very comfortable riding position, but I would probably put some higher risers on there, a bit Sons of Anarchy style, maybe 10 or 12 inch risers, get the bars up there nice and wide and tall, and look proper cool. Now, it's got mid controls, which I'm perfectly happy with. Someone commented and said they'd prefer forward controls in the last video, but I think if you had forwards, this air filter would certainly be getting in the way of your leg. So personally, I think it's fine with mid controls, and that means that you're very poised in a riding position for the cornering. So that's why I prefer mids personally. When I've got forward controls, you feel a little bit less in control of the bike. The comfort is very nice. The seat is perfectly comfortable. It is a single seat, so if you want to take a pillion, you'll have to buy a different seat for it, which there are plenty of options. But there are more comfortable seats as well, so if you're going to do more touring, you can get a more padded seat, or you can get something that's more style over comfort. There's so many options with Harleys. Customization is endless. The dial on this is the same as the one on my Softail Standard. It tells you everything you need to know, and it's a little digital display that's sort of within the handlebar clamp. I think, to be honest, on this bike, I would prefer the old school analog dial on the tank like you did on the Diners. I think that would suit this bike down to a T. So perhaps for the money I would want an analog dial personally. This does also have cruise control, which I haven't tested out because I live in the middle of the countryside, so it's pretty dangerous. So you need to be on a motorway really. I've only done about 5 minutes of motorway riding, so not long enough to really test that out. My favourite thing about Harley-Davidsons is the character. You can't replicate what you get from a Harley out of many other machines. Indians perhaps do it, but I've only ridden this sort of Scout range, which aren't quite the same because they're liquid cooled and they're a bit more of a modern feeling engine. I want to ride some of the bigger bikes like the Sport Chief, which is probably quite comparable to this, and see how that compares character wise, looks wise, quality wise. But there's something about Harley that just ignites something in you. It really does feel incredible, and without riding one you won't understand. So I think a lot of the hate towards Harleys comes from people who've never sat on one or even ridden one. So if you ride one, you will understand what it's about. And I used to work in the dealership, as I said, and we used to get people all the time, usually older chaps who'd done their sports bike riding, they're fed up with going fast, and then they finally give in and have a go on a Harley, and they realise, what the hell have I been complaining about all these years, moaning about it, taking the mick out of Harleys, when actually they're fantastic bikes, they really are good. So without riding one, you won't understand. So if you've not ridden one, get yourself to a dealership and ride one, because you will not regret it. Now, if you've enjoyed the video, as I say, please do like and subscribe. We've got plenty more coming up this year. The old man will be back very soon. Leave your comments down below what you think of this bike, and what do you think is causing the hatred towards Harley-Davidson as a brand at the moment. I'm not sure what it is, but let me know in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next one.